So I'm reading this by the Gateway Pundit, not to go read exactly what it means, but fake news isn't reporting. It says there were 9 losses and 174 wins for Trump-backed candidates. Mm-hmm. People say, well, Trump didn't do enough. He's a billionaire. Oh, you know what? Our side, I want to talk to you for a second about a word called the leadership backlash. This is a concept that comes from Robert Clinton, who did degree work. I worked with him at a university where we were both teaching for a course. And Clinton is a professor from Fuller Theological Seminary, and he was dealing with leadership emergence theory. And the whole point is the study of Christian leadership in the Bible and this phenomenon called convergence, which I want all of you to think about. That's the moment when your destiny and your occupation converge. And if you're lucky, if you're fortunate, you actually might get a job that corresponds with the work God created you to do. Because then it maximizes your gifts, talents, and abilities, and you start to move in a thing called convergence, where you're converging with what you prophetically were assigned to do in life. Well, he talks about the leadership backlash and says that one of the great tests of leaders, because Trump is going through it right now, is when you're called by God, doing what God called you to do, and God walks you into a backlash, meaning the thing looks like you get smacked as a result, like you're the problem. So, for instance, Moses is told by God to go to Pharaoh and tell Pharaoh, let my people go. And so Moses goes and he delivers the message to Pharaoh, and Pharaoh says, oh, yeah? You know what your problem is? You got too much time in your hands. You know what we're going to do? Double the workload on those Jews. They're going to make bricks. And guess what? I'm going to have them make it without straw. They're going to gather the straw and make the bricks. In other words, they've got too much time on their hands. So let's make them do a little, we're going to increase the workload on the Jews. Well, Moses comes back. The elders go, what in the world are you doing? You think God sent you? We've got to work twice as hard. And Moses goes to God and he says, why in the world did you give me this job? What are you doing? You're sending me into Pharaoh? Woe that we had been content not to do this. And the Lord says, stop it. Stop it. I know what I'm doing. I'm in control of this. Now watch what I do. There are times when, hope some of you are listening to me, you're going to obey God and it ain't going to work out the way you wanted it to work, and you're going to go back and want to blame God or say, I'm never going to do that again. And you thought you heard God. Now you're one of you. No, you heard. It's just that God doesn't always do things the way you think he does. He set up the system to respond a certain way. So the reason I'm saying that to you is because right now Donald Trump is getting vilified like he's the reason why we didn't win. This is Trump's responsibility. This is Ben Shapiro and all the conservatives that never liked Trump in the first place, including a bunch of your favorite preachers. But here's what I'm going to read to you. Donald Trump endorsed over 330 candidates this election cycle, hosted 30 rallies in 17 states over the last year and a half, hosted 50 in-person fundraisers to help those candidates. This is what he's doing in his free time. What are you doing? President Trump delivered remarks in over 60 tele-rallies, automated calls in support of Republicans, raised nearly $350 million this election cycle for Republican candidates. The Make America Great Again, Inc., and Super PAC for President Donald Trump spent $16 million in 5 weeks to support the U.S. gubernatorial and attorney general races, raised $4 million to support Blake Masters in Arizona when McConnell wouldn't do it, $3.6 million to oppose Raphael Warnock, $3.4 million to oppose John Fetterman, $2.4 million to oppose Tim Ryan, $2.1 million opposing Catherine Cortez Masto, and supporting Adam Laxalt in Nevada, where we're talking about. What I'm trying to tell you is that Trump is the leader in the Republican Party. He is the guy. This leadership backlash this midterm result wasn't even about the local elections. It was about Trump. It was about trying to push back on every one of his candidates. When Trump endorsed Dr. Oz, we're talking about, Oz was actually trailing by 7%. McCormick, David McCormick. Now, I would agree with you, Mercedes. I am not a Trump sycophant. I would agree with you that McCormick would have been a better guy than Oz.
No matter what the memes say.
No matter what the memes say, the destructive memes that she reads.
Well,
But I would say that McCormick would have been better. He was the hedge fund manager. And okay, he was probably a little bit more of a Goldman Sachs guy. But look, if he had lost, at least it would have been hard to explain, unlike Mehmet Oz, who was a resident in New Jersey, who runs in Pennsylvania, because let's face it, Trump loves celebrities.
Yeah.
He has a little bit of a celebrity problem because he's a celebrity himself. And he thought the Oprah guy was going to win.
But what real Republican would have conceded a race in Philadelphia full of shenanigans that I already saw articles coming out about how bad it was? And so why
Are
would you
trying to suggest to me that he was not a real candidate and that he was willing to be a placeholder in order to lose and then drop the subject and pick up his chips?
Sounds like a Q conspiracy to me.
I know.
I want to say something too, that
Wizard of Q.
I think right now, the other thing to keep in mind is that there's a big, to me, it almost feels like a giant psyop, like a big psychological test on the conservative base. And so it's like they haven't called all these races as of right now when we're recording this. And it's like they want to make you lose hope. They want you to make you lose faith. They want to make you, like Carrie Lake had a lot of pressure on her to concede the night of the election. She came in 16 points under.
You're talking about the night of the
election.
The primaries.
No. Of the general that we just had on the midterms.
Oh, on this one too.
Yeah,
well, on the primary.
When the results started coming in last night when we were at Victory Channel, it was like 16 points. She's behind 16 points, and they're saying you need to concede. You need to concede. She said, "No, I'm not going to concede. We're going to count every single ballot. There's a lot of ballots still outstanding, and here we are a day later. Well." I hate that we pre-record some stuff, but we're a day later and it's looking like it's flipping in her favor. And so there's a lot of pressure on people, especially I want to say for the Christians listening, there's a lot of mental pressure that if the devil can take your hope, he can take your faith. And if he takes your faith, he takes your ability to move mountains. This is
where I was going to go. We got only 8 minutes left here, but I was going to go here originally.
Well, it's not going anywhere. So it's going on the podcast, not going on TV. So you can go over.
Well, here's my point. Well, I don't want to go over. I don't want to. People listen for about 25 minutes.
Oh, people love to listen to you.
I don't know about that, Mercedes.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, but I have other comments when you're done. So go ahead.
All right. I'm sorry if I'm wasting your time here on my...
No, I was just letting you know if you're going to land the plane, I got something else.
I want to read to you guys live some chat thread stuff that I have that really gets me. I'm telling you, I have a weakness, and it's that I read these chats, and they really... I'm wondering if I should even... If it's even healthy.
It's not. I'll tell you right now, it's not.
Why do you say that?
Because it baits you. You get baited in. You'll be sitting with me or someone or Annabelle, and all of a sudden you'll go down and you'll like feverishly text.
I'm not going to mention names, and I'm going to see this is experimental. I don't want my friends upset with me that I read your comments on the air. But I'm reading them. It's a new thing. It's real-time sharing. My life is an open book.
Oh, gosh.
I'm a river to my people. I give what I get. And I'm going to tell you what I'm getting right now. New York Post, someone sends to me, it's time the GOP dumped Trump, the grump, and ran with Ron DeSantis. Are you going to send this to me after I spent the whole night? And these are never Trump preachers, okay? And so this guy doesn't like Trump. Quite obvious. I write back in the car today on the way over to the studio. I'm suspicious of all the Trump critics who want to blame him. It's a common occurrence called leadership backlash. I taught you about it, right? Moses encountered it when Pharaoh hardened his heart and all the elders got mad at Moses. It may be that Trump is not the candidate, or it may be that God doesn't want a man-made life raft. Now I'm referring here to when Paul was on a ship and everybody was trying to get off the ship, and God said, you're not going to make it unless you do it my way. And they were trying to get on a life raft, and Paul said, hey, if these guys get on that life raft, you're all done. And your deliverance depends on you doing it God's way. So I'm implying here that Trump may be God's solution. Let's not jump the ship when God is testing us and he's experiencing a backlash. Paul said to the centurion and the soldiers, unless these men stay in the ship, you cannot be saved. I don't think this communicated to my group here. I got 9 professors, preachers, and entrepreneurs in this group. Or even worse, I said, what if the problem is us? Okay, so one guy says, the us is most definitely the problem because there's never an excuse to vote for a pro-death leader. However, I still wish Trump would go away and let Ron DeSantis be the nominee. Next person chimes in. Of course, it's essential that we vote, and if more of us voted, the results would have been different. But we have to isolate the real issue, which is a sick and powerless church. Revival in the church will lead to cultural awakening. There's a premise there. The revival needs to be in the church. Then this person chimes in, who normally doesn't speak. Smart guy, but you can hear where he's coming from. It's a multivariate problem, he says. It's all of the above. It's us. Failed strategic thinking paradigms which are no longer relevant, employed by strategists who are outdated but don't realize it. Trump and the inability to think outside the echo chamber. I think he's talking about me. The hype about a 2022 red wave came from people who see themselves as strategists or were genuine strategists in a different season, which is long gone, failing to accurately read the 2020 election while still clinging to their failed prognostications, which were so obvious to many who are true, modern-day relevant, but underutilized and underappreciated strategists. We've wasted 2 years we didn't have the luxury of wasting. I think there's a little bit of leakage there. Strategic thinking at a macro system level is very hard, and more strategists would do it. It's been clear for 2 years that we're in a hole. We need to stop digging. The significant problems we face cannot be solved at the same level of thinking that we were at when we created them, said Albert Einstein. By the way, this is a smart group I'm with. This is a stimulating group. Wouldn't you say? I like that comment, although I question the supposition. Oh boy, this episode was so hot, YouTube and Facebook might not be able to handle it. So go to lancewallnut.com/podcast or Rumble to hear the whole thing. With the instability happening in the market right now, and with inflation going up and the dollar in its seems to be in its free fall, we're watching the stock market make some terrible reckoning adjustments. And where are people going? Well, when cash is unstable, people put their money in a store of value, gold and silver and precious metals. What I didn't know till recently, and I should have known it, is that you can take your 401k and you can actually convert it and put it into an account that has silver and gold. That means that your 401k retirement savings is going to be in silver and gold. So as the dollar starts to get unstable or decline, your gold and silver value is guarding your retirement. Now, this is the tax-exempt strategy that Birch Gold can advise you on. You want to go to lancewallnut.com/Birch. Talk to one of their consultants, download their report, and learn how you can convert a 401k or your retirement plan into gold and silver accounts, secure and protect your money and have peace of mind. lancewallnut.com/Birch. Download the report, talk to the consultant. There's no